Pokemon has been on live since the late 90s, and in a lot of ways, the series has improved on from the previous one. But alas, there was still quite a lot of stuff in the main series game that I still can't really stand, and it makes me wonder how it hasn't been changed yet. These issues I find to be really glaring to the games, and again, still makes me wonder how Game Freak still hasn't changed since the original games. I feel these aren't 100% deal breakers, it's just stuff that I still don't really enjoy and makes me groan whenever I see them. And if you didn't know, this is another part to a video I did before, which talks about what I think the main series Pokemon games does right. And if you want to watch that too, I will link it in the description below. But now getting to the actual video, and one of the things I still think is very annoying has to be with how Game Freak deals with the gym leaders. It's always been a single type for the most part, with one of the early examples being Raihan from Generation 8. I feel like this is extremely lazy just because it limits the leaders' teams to a single type, and you can just go in with one or two types and just beat them over with that. Of course, some leaders do have coverage moves on them, but I feel especially if you just have a Pokemon that's slightly faster or slightly bulky, you can still beat them easily. And no, I'm not talking about over leveling. I feel in a normal playthrough, most leaders I find easy. There are some cases of them being hard, I admit, like for example some of the leaders in Emerald just because they have an extra Pokemon, and some cases in Platinum just because they actually like redid the gyms, but I still find it really annoying just because they don't really have much of a complex team setup. It's just that Pokemon of that single type, and that's pretty much it. This next point is related to the gym leaders and also almost every single main story fight, and that's how much Pokemon these characters are given, and I find it super dumb in the later parts. First, for the gym leaders like 6 to 8 are given like 4 Pokemon at most, with few exceptions like Juan from Emerald. But I still find them having a limit of 4 is really stupid, just because I feel like they are the strongest trainers, and I feel that they should at least be given 5 Pokemon at minimum, since again they are supposed to be the strongest trainers in the league, or at least before that. And for the later trainers like like the team boss and stuff like that, most of the time they usually have like again about 4-ish Pokemon, and I just find that really underwhelming. I kind of feel that, these fights should be given at least a full team, just because, again, these are the later parts of the game, and since the player can have 6 Pokemon, why not give these trainers also 6? Another aspect I think Game Freak still struggles with is the stories of the games, because I find them to be a massive whatever in almost every single game. I feel they have decent ideas with what they want to do, but they struggle with expanding upon them past a basic level. I feel Generation 3 or 5 has some of the better plots than all of Pokemon, but they still feel like kids games, if that makes sense. The generations I've mentioned really do have massive stakes and makes the player feel important, but it just ends up being the bad guys are bad for the sake of it. They also have some good ideas, like how Gen 4 have something where it's the emotions can cause pain for others, and I feel Cyrus says a lot without really explaining why he feels that way. I'm not asking Pokemon to go full doom and gloom, just make it something to where both older players and kids can enjoy it without it being bad guys are bad, go stop them. I feel Black and White were close to this, and I feel if they went farther in that direction, it would be a nice step forward. Maybe if they just develop the main villains and give them a reason on why they think they're right. And I also do wish that each gym leader had like a mini quest where you actually help develop their character. I just feel it has to be better than it is now, because we just get a basic level understanding of the character, and then that's pretty much it. I also do wish each gym leader had like a mini quest to help them develop their own character. Like maybe someone like Roxanne could be teaching a student, failing to teach it, and then you can actually end up helping Roxanne. I feel this would be kind of cool, just because again each gym leader would have their own side quests, and then you can actually help expand their character and also just other events to help lead into the main story. This next point is kind of related to the last, and this one has to be with how the games are paced. This is kind of another thing that's always remained constant, and it basically goes like this, where you fight the evil team around the first gym, whether that be before or after, then you have another fight with them around the third or fourth, have a massive conflict with them around the 7th or 8th gym, and then it's the final league part. I feel the early games that weren't like this were Black and White, where you actually took down Team Plasma at the very end. Gen 7 games didn't have gyms, but the pacing is very similar and you did take down Lusamine before the league. I also kind of think it just makes the games a little bit predictable because you know exactly when the story is going to wrap up, but this one I don't really think it's a massive negative, it's just a really big annoyance at best. Then there's also the character development within the series, and as I mentioned in my other video, only a few characters actually really get well. Most characters just say a few lines, react to the situation around them, and that's pretty much it. I can't really tell you as much on characters like Gary, May, and basically almost all the gym leaders and a lot of other characters. And the only reason is just because they don't really get much character. You can see a little bit of them in the games, and I know that the other medias for Pokemon do get more stuff like the anime, but again, you don't really see much of them in the main games themselves, and I still think Game Freak does not do a good job of that. Generally feel that most of this will not get changed just because we've had basically every single game that has this type of formula. The Gen 7 games were a slight departure, but in a way they still felt like every other game, and I do admit that Gen 7 at least tried to be different. I'll give it credit because in a way it kind of feels a little bit different from the other ones, but again, not really. I can understand why people wouldn't really be interested in playing the recent titles just because, you know, they haven't really changed much from the original games. To me, I still like going back to them just because I still do get fun, even with something like Sword and Shield, which I kind of had fun with, but again, it doesn't really live up to games like Black and White 2, and Platinum to me. But what did you guys think the main series Pokemon still does wrong? Let me know in the comments below. And again, this is a second part to another video I did, which is what the main series does right, at least in my opinion. But nonetheless, thank you all for watching and see you guys later.